Boker Tov, good morning. I hope that all is going well in your day, that it's off to a good start, and grateful to see each of you joining us here on Boker Tov. Feeling a little dry this morning. Please feel free to share a word of greeting with others and with me as we begin our service together. And I hope that it's the beginning of a good Shabbat. If you're going out, it's just a little snowy here. Please be careful and be safe. Good morning, Joni, and Boker Tov. Good morning, Annette. And to Fern and Lance as well, and Sandra. Good morning to each of you. And I hope today can be a beautiful day as we say to one another, Boker Tov, Boker O. Welcome to Boker Tov from Temple Sinai Congregation of Toronto's daily opportunity to connect, to reflect, and to remember. Good morning, Barb and Lauren. And good morning to each of you and all of you as we gather together on this lovely, snowy Toronto day. So let's express our gratitude for the seasons, for our ability to perceive them and weather them. You'll excuse the pun. And please join me in the prayer for our physical activities, for our physical self, even though I titled it Body and Spirit in English. Let's join in the English of the prayer together today. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Is the healer of body and spirit. And let's recite the prayer for the soul in Hebrew as well as in English. Remember let that inner breath release, starting in the second line. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי תורה היא, אתה בראתה, אתה יצרת, אתה נפחת בי, ואתה משמרה בקרבי. כל זמן שהנשמה בקרבי, מודה אני לפניך, אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אבותיי, ריבון כל המעשים, אדון כל הנשמות. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אשר בידו נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשר ish. The soul that you have given me, O God, is a pure one. You have created and formed it, breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as my soul is within me, I will give thanks to you, eternal my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. We praise you, eternal God, in whose hand is the power of all life and the spirit of all flesh. And let's join together, La'asok b'divrei Torah, expressing our gratitude for and commitment to having this chorus of voices that is Torah, divine voices, human voices. Not always easy to distinguish between the two, because as it says in the Talmud, even the question asked by the student, that too is Torah, even thousands of years later than the time at Mount Sinai. So in gratitude for answers and for questions, let's join this bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Qarev na Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratcha b'finu ובפי עמך בית ישראל, ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו, וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל, כולנו יודעי שמך, ולומדי תורתך לשמה. ברוך אתה, אדוני, המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור. These are the obligations whose value cannot be measured. They nourish us in this world and help us to create the world to come. Kibud av va'em, to honor fathers and mothers, ugmilut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. Vashkamat bet midrash shacharit ve'arvit, to attend the house of study morning and evening. V'achnasat orchim, to welcome the stranger. U'bikul cholim, to visit the sick. V'achnasat kala, to provide for brides and grooms. U'levayat hamet, to keep faith with the dead. V'yum tefillah, to pray with sincerity. V'ava'at shalom ben adam lachavero, to make peace when there is strife. V'tamud Torah keneged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all. Let's continue with our morning blessings, with those blessings that remind us of our essential nature and of our opportunities, which are also responsibilities to make our world more of the place that it should be. So please join me in the first bracha in half Hebrew, half English, the second one entirely in Hebrew, and we'll continue alternating except for the top of the next page, which is the prayer for setting free captives, one that's been part of our liturgy for thousands of years, because painfully, this is not a new reality, but that should add to, not take away from, the importance, the urgency, the significance of demanding that the hospital, in doing so, we recite that blessing at the top of the next page in both Hebrew and half Hebrew, half English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You have given the rooster the natural wisdom to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzalmenu kidmutenu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You have made me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You have helped me provide for my needs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You clothe the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. And again, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You release those who are held captive. Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You maintain the balance of land and sea. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You surround Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, moter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You give strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir shena me'enai utnuma me'afapai. It's very significant to recite these brachot together, so that by the time we recite Shema together, we have recited 18 brachot, chai brachot. We want our life to be a place of blessings and goodness, but we're not waiting and seeing for that to be, but making it so. Not only by reciting blessings, but rather by responding to blessings, by carrying out in our life those ethical demands that are within the brachot. And I hope we have the strength and the courage to do just that. The Shema reminds us that we can draw strength and courage from the examples of hundreds of generations of our people, who under beautiful circumstances and circumstances and everything in between have drawn strength from the one and from that link that binds us all together. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Well, today, being a Friday morning, is not only Erev Shabbat on Boker Tov, it's also a time where we look out a bit more broadly at the world around us and say, what is it? What kind of a moment are we living in? Well, it's been quite an interesting week, both in those things that are easily seen and those things that are not easily seen. It's been the kind of a time when we see really the rot at the heart of our federal government as its dirty laundry becomes public. And as the weakness of that government and its unwillingness and inability to stand for a broader swath of Canadians continues to lead eventually toward an election. In every country, I would imagine, especially of a democratic country where there's a perception that we can do something about our government, it is typical to complain about government. And we have no lack of reasons to do so at the moment on pretty much every level. However, there's a temptation just to complain rather than to get involved. And I think during this time of difficulty, during a time where the Jewish community has an awareness on all levels of government, that we're disappointed in the ability of the government to respond to our needs, to keep us safe, to support what we regard as the broader values of our society, like freedom from harassment and law and order and freedom of expression, and all of many other aspects of our societal structure, that when the society seems both unwilling and or unable to manage that balance and to keep us safe in the way we and all other peoples in our society deserve, there's a temptation just to complain. Had a meeting with the National Outreach Director of CJPAC yesterday, CJPAC, which is not a charity. It's the Canadian Jewish Political Action Committee, and it is designed not to support any particular party or individual, but to give members of the Jewish community an opportunity to engage in the political process. If there is a counselor, a school trustee, an MPP, or an MP in your riding who you believe is not properly responsive, whether it's to your needs or even to your communication, CJ is a path in partnership with Temple to help connect you so that you can become involved in the political process and support whichever candidate from whichever party that you believe actually represents your interests and your needs. Democracy functions when we get engaged and involved. It's a reminder that complaining about politicians and the sense that they're mainly politicians, people with a job trying to keep their job, is hardly new. But in order for things to function, it does demand of us that we get engaged and get involved. And whether that means writing, whether that means as different elections and opportunities come along, choosing a candidate from any party, but one that we believe represents us and our values most closely, and reaching out and participating in the political process. Knocking on doors, it sounds difficult, but it's actually quite doable and meaningful and manageable if we have the courage to do so. And it doesn't take a lot of courage, just a willingness to step there. And CJ Pack can make it easier for each of us. That darkness and silence are really the opposite of a healthy democratic process. And just like I had another meeting yesterday with representatives of our movement in Israel, who were again shedding light on the way in which, during a time of war and crisis, where Israel needs all forces designed, focused on the future of the country, on the security of the country, there's an enormous amount of governmental energy going to trying to spread misinformation about the state of Israel's democracy and trying to undermine it for the benefit of some of the more politically extreme actors within the coalition. And it's something that we need to pay attention to. Need to ask you again, please, to check your status with Artsa Canada. Our participation as Reform Zionists actually gives voice to those who directly oppose those aspects, who oppose the misuse of government power and government funds in Israel. And so please, if you're not sure whether you're a member of Artsa Canada, Temple sent out an email to those who were not in November saying to please join, but please do go ahead and check before December 31st. Because those memberships actually translate into political say, not political say in the state of Israel, but rather in the way the Jewish agency, the larger organization of the Zionist movement, spends funds, and whether those funds are distributed equitably, which is what we argue for, or whether those funds, as members of the current government would wish, only go to Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox groups rather than to representatives of the wider reality of world Jewry. The truth is, using the war, as certain done within the Zionist community, using the war to undermine Israel's society is and undermine Israeli civil society is an insult to the soldiers who wear the uniform and go there and fight for a Jewish democratic state of Israel that, God willing, in this upcoming 2025 can live in peace, or in much greater peace than today. And so for all of them, and in prayer for them, we say these words for the soldiers of the IDF. מי שבירך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, ואמותינו שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל ושאר מגיני עמנו העומדים על משמרתם. ישמרם הקדוש ברוך הוא, ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה בכל מעשה ידיהם, ויקוים בהם הכתוב. וכיתתו חרבותיהם לאיתים, וחניתותיהם למזמרות. לא יישאו גוי על גוי חרב, ולא ילמדון עוד מלחמה, וישבו איש תחת גפנו, ותחת תאנתו, ואין מחריד, ונאמר Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless the soldiers of the IDF and all who defend our people. May the Holy One guard them against all difficulty and distress, injury, and illness. May all of their actions bring blessing, fulfilling the prophet's words. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation not lift up sword against nation, and may they learn war no more. May all sit under a vine or fig tree, with none to make them afraid, and together we say, Amen. And we continue with our prayer for strength and healing for those in our circle of family and friends and community in need of healing, for those being forcibly held in an ongoing daily crime against humanity by Hamas and their other terrorist allies, for the hostages who must immediately be released, for them, for all who are injured, whether injured in an accident or injured in conflict, and who they and their families must make their way forward and try to rehabilitate in a meaningful way. For each of them, for all of them, for the names given to me and given to Temple, for the names placed in the chat and this and other services, we turn to these words of refuah. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה רבקה לאה ורחל, הוא ירפא את כל מכותינו. יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו לחל עמם ולרפאותם, וישלח לנו מהרה רפואה שלמה ועטרת שלום, ונאמר Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and let us say together, Amen. Well, it's especially as Shabbat is about to be here, it's very meaningful to have this time to connect and to reflect. And now we take time to remember, recalling those who've died in recent days and weeks, those who died at this season in years past, and those who we've taken into our hearts with our own. During the period of Shloshim, the past 30 days, we extend our condolences to the families of Marion Waldman, Alan Rakowski, Bruce Friedman, Manny Cates. And it is our sad duty to report, though I don't have the name yet, that in England, that the stepmother of Raina Conway has passed away. When I have more information, I'll continue to pass it along. The funeral is taking place in London, England this Sunday. And we also remember all victims of terror and war, including Rabbi Tzvi Kogan, Rabbi Avi Goldberg, Itai Svirsky, Yehoah Aaron, Tuvia Simcha, and the following IDF soldiers who either have died or whose deaths have been confirmed in the past 30 days. Avram Ben Pinchas, Omer Maxim Nutra, Omri Cohen, Tamer Osman, Sagi Yaakov Rubinstein, Benjamin Destav Nagosi, Alexander Anosov, Erez Ben Ephraim, Evgeny Zinelshen, Moshiko Maxim Rosenwald, Barak Daniel Halpern, Ida Luzano, Zamir Bok, Yona Betzalel Borif. And on yahrzeit, on the anniversary of their deaths, on this 19th day of Kislev, the 20th of December, 2024, we honor the life and legacy on yahrzeit of Erwin Bernick, Doris Brown, Rose Kalmanson, Charlotte Flagg, Pauline Celia Freeman, Isaac Grossberg, Moishe Grossman, Shirley Pollock, Bradley Pressman, Helen Rosenberg, William Ross, Marion Saltzman, Samuel J. Simmons, Harry Smith, Joseph Mickey Soleil, Cantor Severin Weingort. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be a blessing to us. Our griefs and our sympathies are mingled as we turn together to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemeh Rabbah, בעלמא דברך ורעותה וימליך מלכותה בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב עמו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ועמו, אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועמו, אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועמו, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, Amen. Well, it's wonderful to be here with you, and I'm grateful for those who've contributed this morning. I'm also grateful that I think it's a day of bring your own bagel breakfast. If somebody has that, has the link, if you can share it in the chat, I would certainly appreciate that. And Temple is grateful this morning that a contribution has been made to the Rabbi's Discretionary Fund by Joanne and Michael Vogler and family, observing yahrzeit for Shirley Pollock. And oh, well, maybe the next one, the next Bring Your Own Bagel Breakfast is in January. Is that what you're saying, Joni? That's great. Anyway, it's very meaningful to be here with you. Please have a safe and beautiful Shabbat Shalom. And remember, it's only the first of each month now. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that my memory there is outdated. Please continue to join with us throughout the holiday season on statutory holidays. We won't be having in-person minyan, but every day there will be Boker Tov here at 8:30, other than Shabbat, which is at 10 a.m. Boker Tov. Boker O. Join us tonight at 6:30, of course, for Kabbalat Shabbat services.